Hello everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 222. So according to new reports tonight, the FBI wants to question 4 English citizens. Now we know that 2 of them are Prince Andrew and Gillian Maxwell. Now the other 2, well, they are up for debate. I have a few opinions on who it might be, but first, I'd like to hear from some of you and hear who you think it might be. So make sure you send me some emails and let me know who you think the other 2 people might be. Now, earlier I was talking about how I have a feeling that people are starting to rat in this case, and the more we get deeper into the new revelations, the more I truly believe that. Again, I don't have any evidence to back that up, right? I don't have anything concrete to say, all right, well, here are the breadcrumbs. You can follow these breadcrumbs and it'll lead you right to the evidence, because that's not the case. It's just from following things like this and how these criminal enterprises are usually investigated and how these cases unfold, this is usually what happens. You start to hear little things about the case, right? It's a trickle of information. Then all of a sudden it's a tsunami right before the indictments start getting slapped on people. Now they've had an ample amount of time to conduct investigations, to speak with people, to get all of their evidence ironclad. And if they've been using that time, the time to do that, well then that's awesome. Unfortunately, we have to remain skeptical because the way the Justice Department has conducted themselves throughout this whole entire thing. But what I will say is what I'm seeing now certainly, at the very least, looks like a little bit of a speck of light. Because they don't do things like an MLA if they don't mean business. And I was saying earlier that the pressure is really on when it comes to this case now, especially after this Netflix documentary. Forget it. The whole case has exploded now, folks, just like we thought it would. Now, the Netflix documentary, obviously, like we've talked about, it didn't open up any new doors, right? Nothing for us to investigate, nothing that is new to us. But you look around, folks, take a good look, and you see how many people are blown away by just the little bit that was in that documentary. Just the scratch of the surface. And look at the reaction so many people have had. And the outrage. I have had so many people contact me recently that I had no idea about this case. And now, the information where we were lucky to get 1 or 2 decent articles a day, if that, now we can't keep up. There's 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 articles a day right now. So as the information starts to trickle out a little bit more, it'll slowly become a leak as opposed to a drip, right? And then the leak will turn into an explosion of information coming out. And the more we see that occurring, the closer, in my opinion, we are to seeing indictments. And again, I don't know who is going to be indicted, right? I'm not going to sit here and say, all right, well, this one's definitely getting indicted. If they're using the evidence that is readily available to the public even, then all of them should be indicted, right? But I'd be a liar to sit here and say I have some sort of inside track on knowing exactly what the FBI is up to right now, because I have zero idea what they're up to. All I can do is look at this case and compare it to other RICO-style cases that I've covered and followed throughout the years and how they've all played out. And it's starting to look like this case is moving in that direction. When you hear a leak like we've heard about the MLA with Prince Andrew, this isn't just some punk, right? Some guy on the street that they're letting information leak about. We're talking about a leak that could cause a diplomatic scene. So when you hear about that MLA, you know that the prosecutors, they mean business. And it's just, if they're going to see it through, right? I hope it's just not optics. That's what we have to avoid. We have to avoid falling into the trap of getting too excited, because we all know with this corrupt-ass justice system, we can't count on them to do anything really, right? So it's a show us kind of game. But these little things that we're starting to see pop out, these little things are leading me to believe that RICO predicates are on the way. There are many, many, many people that were involved in facilitating this criminal enterprise. And if Berman and the FBI are serious about pursuing justice in this case, the way they say they are, well, we're going to see a lot of uncomfortable people in the coming days, weeks, and months. Because I truly believe this is kicking into a new gear right now. We just saw the compensation fund for the survivors get launched. June 15th, that goes into effect. People thought that was going to take decades, right? Everybody was skeptical about it, myself included. But we see we're starting to get some resolution there. And not only that, remember, but inside of that the compensation fund, the wording is important because the estate acknowledges the abuse that these survivors suffered at the hands of Epstein. And it's the first time that we've seen that, really. It's the first time that we've seen that sort of validation of what these girls have went through. And I think it's very important, and I can't underscore it enough. It is super critical to see stuff like that occur, because up until now, we would never see them bend that way. We would never, ever see them accept culpability, even with him dead. But the times they are a-changing, folks. And the pressure that you're putting on these people is enormous. And they're losing the most important things that they have. Their power and their money. When both of those get shut off, well, these people start to panic. And when people start to panic, guess what? They make mistakes. So as we see all this information coming out, this new stuff, as it builds up, we start to see just exactly how this can unfold. Depending on who these other two people are over in England and what the FBI thinks they know, well, we could have something breaking out real quickly here, folks, because if the MLA leaked, you would have to think that the names of the other two Brits who are under investigation here, or let me restate that, who the FBI wants to speak with over Epstein, you got to think that their names are going to be released as well. So I'm very interested to see how this all plays out over the pond. But here in America, for sure, I see the signs starting to pop up everywhere that indictments are coming. And again, I don't know who's going to be indicted. Obviously, I think all of them should be. But it seems to me, from the way that the prosecution has started to posture, and from some of the information we're seeing, and from some of the whispers that are starting, that prosecutions are not far away here, folks. So let's buckle up and let's see if the Justice Department is finally going to do their job after decades of letting Jeffrey Epstein and his scoundrel, disgusting-ass friends get off. Tonight's article is from the Mirror. The headline, Prince Andrew, one of 4 Brits FBI wants to quiz over pedophile pal Jeffrey Epstein. Well, at least the Mirror got it right and called him a pedophile in the headline. That's pretty awesome. Good job on their part. This article was authored by Christopher Buckton. Prince Andrew is one of 4 Brits the FBI wants to quiz about their relationship with the royal's pedophile pal, Jeffrey Epstein. Now, we know that. We've obviously been covering that very deeply, and it's a very important part of the case, right? I've seen people say, oh, you know, they're trying to use him as a distraction, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, that people are entitled to whatever opinions they'd like to have. But me personally, I think that the thing with Andrew is, I think Andrew is such a key component to what's going on because he's being credibly accused by Virginia Roberts. Now, the FBI, they like to act smooth, right? They'll show up and they'll be like, you're not subject to this investigation. We just want to talk to you about what you know about Jeffrey Epstein. Meanwhile, these interrogators will try and slide a few questions in to trip them up about what happened with Virginia. And what they're trying to do here is give him just enough rope for him to hang himself with. That's what the FBI is trying to do. And Andrew's dumbass, well, he'll walk right into that trap. That's why his legal team is doing everything in their power to make sure that this guy does not sit down with an FBI investigator. If they have their way, it'll be a written statement where the FBI can't ask any counter questions, etc., etc. And they can't, the Department of Justice cannot let this guy get off with a written statement. That will be absolutely ridiculous. Agents have paid increasing interest in Epstein's links to the UK after claims by two of his survivors that girls were trafficked to and from here. Well, they're paying attention? We've known this for quite some time, right? We've been talking about this for quite some time. Virginia has been very upfront with what occurred. Maria has been very upfront with what occurred. Maria started talking about what happened all the way in the 90s. Nobody paid one bit of attention to what she had to say. If these people would have just done their job, listened to what Maria and Annie had to say about what occurred, none of this would have happened. And none of us would even be talking about this sick, disgusting bastard. But like usual, the Justice Department, the FBI, and the bureaucrats that run these sort of places, they have way bigger things going on, folks. The means justifies the ends to them. Other than the Duke of York, Epstein's alleged madam, co-conspirator, Gillian Maxwell, 58, and two other British women are believed to have potentially helpful information. A source said claims included he was flying girls from the UK for him to abuse, as well as Virginia Roberts' allegations she was trafficked to London for sex. And there's zero doubt in my mind that Epstein was flying girls in from London or wherever in England. He was doing it from all over the place. We know about the three girls that his buddy Jean-Luc Brunel hooked him up with, right? Little 12-year-old girls from France. Sends them over to his buddy Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, these are the kind of people we're dealing with here, folks. These are the sort of sick bastards that we're dealing with. So what would make any of us think that he was not doing the same thing and flying girls in from London? Roberts has claimed in U.S. courts she was flown across the world by Epstein, including once in March 2001 to have sex in London with the prince, who has denied her allegation. Oh yeah, he's denied the allegation, all right. With no evidence, just his word, and we know that he's such a trustworthy guy, the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family, that we should all just buy into whatever nonsense he's sending our way. Because it's not like he's ever lied before, right? Right? Epstein survivor Maria Farmer claimed he flew at least two girls to the U.S. on his private jet, helped by a British woman she calls a key conspirator. And look, Maria's another one. Maria has brought so much information out and so much disgustingness to light that we would have never known any of this stuff if Maria didn't come out and so bravely speak about what she saw and what she witnessed and what happened to her. And then you add the bravery of the other girls who have come forward, and you have quite the narrative running counter to what these scumbags are trying to pitch you, folks. I know me personally, it's not even a question. It is not even a question about who I believe. Every single one of these girls in this case who has come forward, who has laid their heart out and laid it bare for everybody to see, has been nothing but credible. Meanwhile, the people that were running around with Epstein, the people that were helping him, they're still free. And not one of them has a legit alibi, a legit rebuttal. It's all the same nonsense. Oh, we really didn't know Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, we didn't really know Jeffrey Epstein. Or they just try to ignore it altogether. Well, guess what? You are no longer going to be able to ignore this. We will chase you to the gates of hell themselves until you answer some questions. Epstein, 66, committed suicide in jail, allegedly, in August. He was being held on suspicion of trafficking underage girls for sex. Andrew, 60, is said to have said to have the least interaction with Epstein compared to the 3 women who spent years around the convicted sex offender. Well, that's true, right? Andrew wasn't a constant at Jeffrey Epstein's side like his core 4 were, or some of the other hanger-ons. But Andrew was an intricate part. He was a very intricate part of Jeffrey Epstein's big game hunting when it comes to celebrities and famous people, right? Because he needed that conduit. He needed those people to open doors for him. And they did so willingly. They did so gladly, even knowing the sort of monster that they were associating with. The source said, due to the embarrassment felt among law enforcement over how Epstein escaped justice for so long, no stone is being unturned. And I've heard that. I've heard whispers of that they're going hard in the paint right now because of all the pressure and because of the egg that they have on their face. Now, we don't really know what the FBI is up to, right? They don't ever really talk about these investigations. That's why I was really shocked when we even heard anything about Prince Andrew. They keep this kind of shit close to the vest. And that's why I think it's much more wide-ranging. It's because we're seeing things that we never see from the FBI and from these prosecutors. So I truly believe that they have something up their sleeve. And like I said earlier, I believe that somebody is already singing. They already have people that are turning on other people, and that's how it begins. After the first person rolls, well, it just becomes an avalanche effect because they just keep going up the chain, and they'll keep feeding you, is what they'll do, until eventually they get to the big game hunting that they're looking for, the trophy fish, right? Until they get to Ghislaine Maxwell, Jean-Luc Brunel, or the Joe Exotic of the Windsor family himself, maybe. Previously, it was reported the FBI is investigating Maxwell and several other people linked to the financier, pedophile. Sources claim the principal focus of the probe is the British socialite, co-conspirator, child molester, abuser, and general all-around disgusting person, in my opinion, and other people who facilitated Epstein's allegedly illegal behavior. We could just go ahead and drop that allegedly and just call it what it is, illegal behavior. Child trafficking, sex trafficking, money laundering, etc., etc., etc. There's nothing allegedly about it at this point. This is all factual, all right? Everything that this guy was involved in, this Jeffrey Epstein son of a bitch especially, anything that's tagged to his name, there's no allegedly anymore, okay? He was a convicted sex offender who was getting ready to go up the river a second time for sex offense crimes, okay? So there's no allegedly there. We'll just drop that, and we'll call this guy what he is, a piece of shit. How about that? Maxwell, who has not been seen in public for several years, has not been accused of criminal wrongdoing. That we know of. Then again, has she been? Because we know the judge in the civil case between Annie Farmer and Ghislaine Maxwell delayed their case, put a pause on it because of the criminal investigation that Maxwell was facing. So, if we're following this case and we're paying attention and we're reading between the lines like I really suggest everybody does, then it's obvious that Maxwell is under investigation here. Now, the lengths of that investigation, I guess that's debatable, right? But I don't think it's up for debate that she is under investigation here. I truly believe that she is under investigation and that at the end of the day, she's going to have to answer for what she did. I believe that. I believe that Maxwell, out of all of these people, when it comes to her or Andrew, it's much more likely that we see Maxwell get them bracelets than someone like Prince Andrew. In fact, I wouldn't even be shocked to see Prince Andrew try and roll over and rat Maxwell out. Because at the end of the day, Maxwell's at the top of the pyramid here, right? She's the last man standing, so to speak. The way I see it, Maxwell was the brains behind this operation. She is just as much responsible for what occurred as Jeffrey Epstein, and I think that she is really the prize here. And I think that the FBI is going to go all out to get her. Now, I don't have any evidence that leads me to believe that, right? It's just a gut feeling that I have, and from the way things are breaking now, and from the way we're starting to see the case turn, I think that we really might see Ghislaine Maxwell end up being the one holding the bag for all of this. The U.S. Department of Justice has filed a mutual legal assistance request to the British government. It is a bid to force the prince to supply a statement. An MLA allows cooperation between countries when evidence needs to be gathered in a criminal investigation. If approved by the Home Office, the FBI could ask Andrew to go to a UK court to give evidence under oath as a witness. The FBI declined to comment. Yeah, they're not going to comment. We're not going to get anything out of the FBI unless it's something to maybe jolt Prince Andrew again. Maybe that's Berman's strategy. I really don't know, to be honest with you, what Berman's strategy here is by calling out Andrew publicly. Maybe they have more evidence than they're letting on, and Berman's feeling a bit brazen and he wants to floss a little bit. I don't know. I really don't know. But what I can tell you is this. From what I'm seeing and from the news in the last couple of days especially, it certainly looks to me like this case is starting to expand, and it certainly looks like that somebody behind the scenes has already been wrapped up by the FBI and is singing a song that includes the whole entire lot of them. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All right, everybody, I will be back tomorrow, and we're going to do it all over again. I hope that everybody had an amazing night.